The South Carolina General Assembly has officially adjourned for this year. They'll head back next January to take up business that they did not get finished. On our guest line for our final legislative report of this year, I guess, Vice President of Government Affairs for the Greenville Chamber, Matt Wills. Matt, welcome.
Thanks, Joey. Thanks for having me.
Always a pleasure. So, like always, it came down to the wire as a lot of things we're trying to get done today. Us just give us a general overview of how the final day in session, what took place.
I think I would call the last day of this session this year in 2025 is somewhat anticlimactic. A lot of stuff got done before the final whistle blew, and thank goodness for that. We got a lot of things actually got done this year that we didn't think were going to get done or even close to getting done, and we're somewhat happy with the end product. We've got a lot to work to do as we go into 2026 and obviously in the fall of 2025. But it's been a good session overall.
Yeah. Let's just kind of take them one by one, the issues. You and I have talked about tort reform every week, pretty much, since the session started. We've talked about tax cuts and other issues. Of course, it really literally came down to the wire with the tort reform. The House had their version, the Senate had their version. They came together. What do you think about the final product?
So I think there's two perspectives that you look at here. You look at a bar and restaurant perspective, and they're jumping for joy, and rightly so. It was high time something happened on the front to kind of give some relief or help signal the relief is imminent for the bars and restaurants that have on-premise consumption. I think from a business perspective, from an overall perspective, we're a little disappointed that we couldn't get a broader package completed and over the finish line. But the folks that were kind of on the forefront of the liquor liability issue specifically, kind of have pledged their support as we move into the second term of the 126th legislative session. And I'm looking forward to their support as we have a lot of work to do on that front.
Yeah. As I understand it, and my information is just coming from what I have read, and I've watched some of the hearings and all. But if you would get into a little more detail of what this final bill had as far as helping the restaurant and the bar business, what are some of the things that the Senate brought over to that House version?
So I think the biggest thing that we can look at from the Senate version language that we originally saw in 244 that passed the House that we were on board very early with is the joint and several piece that finally passed at the end of March, I believe it was, when we kind of looked at holding people responsible for what they're responsible for. There are some exceptions into that. Some of the language that passed out of the Senate did not make it into the final version, but the overall kind of feeling and nature of what exactly did pass ultimately was from that Senate language that had that joint and several piece to it that we were pushing for from the very beginning. The other aspect that passed was the liquor liability side, and the knowingly standard on that front was a big piece that everybody was kind of looking at. So bars, restaurants, and on-premise consumption folks, now have to be found guilty of or liable in the fact that they are knowingly serving somebody who is not that is really had too much to drink to begin with. So the standard is completely changed. There is a step down or a tiered approach to the minimum coverage that they need to cover or have themselves covered with based on the time in which they close, and now the mandatory server training on that front. So there's a lot of good aspects of this bill. We've got some more work to do on the overall tort reform side for other aspects of business in South Carolina, but this is a good start.
Yeah. So yes, it includes some of the mandatory training and all for the bars serving alcohol after certain times and all as well. Do insurance companies though? I mean, do they have to lower premiums just
So
based
that
on this legislation, or is this sort of a wait and see from experience?
So this is kind of a wait and see approach. I think some will want you to believe that, hey, look, we passed this, they've got to do it. Unfortunately, that's just not the case. We do live in a free market. Our economy is based on those type of principles, and when insurance companies see that the market is better for them to do business, that's when those premiums are going to start to come down. And when you start providing the approach that the House and the Senate put together, you're able to see some of those principles kind of falling into place
Yeah.
that will signal to insurance companies, hey, let's
Yeah.
get in line here and write some more business in the state of South Carolina. Our neighbors are doing things a little bit differently, doing things in a more broader approach. But I think this is a good first start for us. I'm going to harp on this until the cows come home. We've still got a lot of work to do.
Yeah, exactly. Well, again, we'll wait and see, and hopefully the insurance companies will respond and these premiums will come down for these businesses. All right, let's move on to income tax because they were able to at least get started. Now, that's not going to be finished this session, but
Sure.
they did make some headway so that they can get started on in January and have a leg up on it, I guess.
Massive headway, massive headway. So this one's fairly simple to kind of understand. The revenue numbers are very difficult to understand and how we get to that particular point. But the numbers, it's a two-tiered system that we're moving to in South Carolina. It'll be or at least projected to move to in South Carolina, a 5.39% rate, which is the effective rate in Georgia currently, and then a 1.99% rate for those that are earning a little bit less
Yeah.
than that first tier hits to. But then there are triggers in the revenue side that bring us down to a zero point 0 income tax structure on a flat scale. So that is a fantastic approach, infinitely better than what we saw the first time around. And kudos to the Ways and Means Committee for getting that pushed as quickly as they did. Nothing was going to be kind of in place for the 2025 tax year
Right.
really to begin with as late as this kind of came about. So we're going to be kind of looking in that 26 time frame to see this be an effective place in actual practice. But now it moves on over and going to take a peek at what the Senate folks think of it. And I think we're going to see something a little bit different from their perspective, and maybe get those rates a little bit lower.
Sure. With me today, Matt Wills, Vice President of Government Affairs with the Greenville Chamber, in our final moment or so together here. Matt, any real surprises on the last day?
I wouldn't say any real surprises on the last day. You did kind of see a couple of resolutions get put into place about keeping members, behaving with other members. But, I think from a larger perspective, the last day was somewhat anticlimactic. This week was not anticlimactic. Obviously, we were able to get the tort side and liquor liability stuff addressed, at least in the first steps of it. Looking at, moving forward on the budget, where those conferees are going to continue to work past Sunny Die past this week and get that passed, and get it down to Governor McMaster and let him take a peek at it and see what he wants to sign and not sign off on, and get it sent back. So
Sure.
but yeah, again, going back to kind of where we started, it was a slow process getting to where we are, but we got where we are and getting some good things happened.
Yeah, yeah. Matt, always a pleasure. I've enjoyed our catching up each week. Obviously, we'll stay in touch throughout the year because there'll still be business taking place
Absolutely.
as committees will be working that type of thing, but it just will not be on a weekly basis. But I appreciate you being our eyes and ears at the session during the session this year.
I very much appreciate it and very much look forward to come January and getting back on with you.
Sure thing.